Let's start with a truth that might surprise you. Weight loss doesn't begin in the gym. It begins in the mind, and it certainly doesn't begin with guilt. One of the most dangerous myths we've absorbed over the years is that exercise for weight loss has to be punishing, that we have to sweat, strain, and suffer in order to earn our food or justify our existence. We treat exercise like a penance. But the moment you begin viewing movement as punishment, you enter into a toxic relationship with your own body. And weight loss, at its most powerful and lasting, doesn't come from shame, it comes from alignment. We've been conditioned to think that if a workout doesn't leave us breathless, drenched and sore, it doesn't count. That mindset is rooted in performance culture, not in actual science. In reality, the most effective exercise for fat loss is the one that you will do consistently, not the one that looks impressive on Instagram or the one that burns the most calories in a single hour. You don't need to be an athlete. You don't need to crush your body. What you need is a commitment to show up daily in motion with purpose and presence. That's where change begins. They give you something deeper to consider. Weight gain is often not just a result of overeating. It's a symptom of disconnection. Disconnection from your body, from your purpose, from your habits. When we stop moving, when we treat movement as optional, or worse, as punishment, we become strangers to our own bodies. We lose touch with that sense of energy, of flow, of strength that reminds us we are still alive and capable. The first step toward weight loss isn't running a mile, it's reestablishing a dialogue with your body. Movement is how we speak that language. And that movement doesn't have to be loud. A morning stretch, a walk after dinner, 10 minutes of dancing in your kitchen. These aren't trivial. They are acts of reconnection. You are teaching your body that it matters. That it's not just a vehicle carrying around extra weight. It's a living, breathing organism, deserving of attention and care. And once your body begins to feel acknowledged, once you start treating it like an ally, not an enemy, it responds. That's where the shift begins. Now, from a physiological standpoint, any movement stimulates metabolism, balances blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity, and boosts endorphins. But just as important is what it does psychologically. When you move, you interrupt inertia, and inertia is the real enemy of transformation. When we're sedentary, not just physically but emotionally, we lose momentum. And when we lose momentum, even small efforts feel overwhelming. But the moment you start moving, no matter how gently, you awaken the system. You send a signal to your brain, we're not stuck, we're in motion. This, by the way, is why walking is so profoundly effective. Not just because it burns calories, though it does, but because it is a daily act of reclaiming your agency. When you walk, you are literally moving forward. It's symbolic, it's powerful, and it's accessible to almost everyone. That 20-minute walk each day, it's not just exercise, it's a daily declaration. I am no longer standing still. I want you to let go of the idea that exercise has to be intense to matter. That kind of thinking discourages more people than it inspires. Instead, think of exercise as a daily conversation. Some days it will be light and casual, other days it will be passionate and powerful. Both kinds of conversations matter. What matters most is that you keep speaking. Because when you stop, your body stops listening. Let's also talk about the emotional weight we carry, because for many people, weight gain isn't just about food or an activity. It's about trauma, loss, stress, fear. We carry those burdens in our bodies. Movement helps release them, not all at once, but slowly over time. Every step you take, every stretch, every breath, it's a way of saying, I'm ready to let go. I'm ready to be lighter, not just in body, but in spirit. So if you've been waiting for the perfect workout plan or the perfect motivation, let me be clear. The most effective exercise is the one that brings you back to yourself. The one that reminds you of your strength, not your struggle. And it starts not with exhaustion, but with a single decision to move with intention. Stop punishing your body for where you've been. Start honoring it for where it's willing to go. That's where weight loss begins. Not with pain, but with purpose. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in the conversation about weight loss: muscle. Not as an aesthetic pursuit, but as a biological necessity. You see, muscle isn't just for athletes or bodybuilders. It's not decorative, it's functional. It is the very engine of your metabolism. It determines how efficiently your body burns calories, stores fat, and even how you age. If weight loss is the goal, then building and maintaining muscle is not optional. It is foundational. When we say metabolism, most people think of it as this mysterious force that either works for you or against you. But in reality, your metabolism is deeply tied to your lean muscle mass. The more muscle you have, the more energy your body requires, not just during exercise, but all day, even while you sleep. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. It's burning calories while you're sitting, while you're reading this. Fat, by contrast, doesn't do that. It stores energy. It doesn't spend it. Now here's where it gets even more important. As we age, we naturally begin to lose muscle. It's called sarcopenia, and it begins as early as your 30s, accelerating each decade thereafter. If you're not actively working to build or preserve muscle, your body gradually replaces it with fat. This isn't just about weight, it's about function, balance, posture, even hormonal health. And if you're trying to lose weight without paying attention to muscle, you're not just losing fat, you're losing strength. That's why so many people lose weight but end up feeling weak, tired, and ultimately gaining it all back. That's the problem with focusing only on cardio or diet without resistance training. It may shrink the number on the scale, but it doesn't rewire the body. Strength training, on the other hand, transforms you from the inside out. It changes the structure of your body. It teaches your metabolism to run hotter, faster, stronger, and it teaches your mind that you are not fragile but capable, that you're not just trying to get smaller, you're building something stronger. Think about that psychologically. There's a huge difference between trying to shrink yourself and trying to strengthen yourself. One comes from a place of scarcity, the other from empowerment. One says, I need to lose what I am. The other says, I'm becoming something more. And that shift in mindset can change everything about the way you approach weight loss. Because when you're chasing strength, weight loss becomes a byproduct, not a burden. Stop obsessing over calories and start focusing on capacity, what you can do, not just what you weigh. The best part, you don't need to lift heavy weights at a gym. You can start with your own body weight, squats, lunges, push-ups, resistance bands, even carrying your groceries with more intention. These movements recruit multiple muscle groups, stimulate your nervous system, and trigger hormonal responses that help burn fat long after the workout ends. Even short 20-minute sessions 2 to 3 times a week can make a profound difference, not just physically, but mentally. And here's something else you might not expect. Strength training doesn't just build muscle, it protects the brain. Research shows it improves cognitive function, reduces anxiety and depression, and even enhances memory. Why? Because it increases blood flow to the brain, regulates hormones like dopamine and serotonin, and reminds your body that it's alive, dynamic, and resilient. Every rep is not just a muscular act, it's a neurological one. It reconnects mind and body. There's also something profoundly philosophical about lifting something heavy, literally and metaphorically. When you train your body to handle resistance, you're also training your mind to face life's weight with more strength and clarity. You begin to see challenges as opportunities to grow. You stop flinching from discomfort and start leaning into it. You build not just muscle, but character. And that brings us to one of the greatest truths of all. Your body adapts to what you ask of it. If you ask it to sit still, it will get good at being still. If you ask it to carry weight, move with purpose, and rise to resistance, it will rise with you. That is the beauty of the human body. It listens. It listens to every choice you make. So the question is, what are you asking of it? The journey of effective weight loss isn't just about shedding pounds, it's about reclaiming power. And there is nothing more empowering than becoming stronger, more capable, more alive in your own body. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you are by activating what has always been within you. So don't just aim to lose weight, aim to build strength. Because the stronger you become, the more weight you leave behind on your body, in your mind, and in your life. Let's shift our focus now to something that might not seem as glamorous as high-intensity workouts or resistance training, but in many ways is just as, if not more essential, low-impact cardio. This is the unsung hero of effective weight loss. Walking, swimming, cycling, even rebounding on a mini trampoline. These are not just beginner-friendly alternatives. They are smart, sustainable strategies for fat burning and long-term metabolic health. Why? Because your body was designed to move frequently, not just intensely. We are creatures of rhythm, not chaos, and low-impact cardio aligns beautifully with that rhythm. It mimics how we moved for thousands of years before gyms and gadgets. Steadily, consistently, purposefully. It is gentle on the joints, but powerful in its effects. And that's the paradox. What feels easy is often doing the most when it comes to longevity and fat metabolism. Let's take walking, for example. It's something so basic that we often dismiss it as too simple to matter. But walking, especially at a brisk, intentional pace, is one of the most effective tools for weight loss and metabolic health. When you walk, your body taps into its fat stores more efficiently. You're not spiking cortisol, you're not stressing your nervous system, you're easing your body into a fat-burning zone that it can stay in comfortably for long periods. That means your body becomes better at using fat as fuel instead of constantly relying on sugar. This is key, especially for those over 40, when hormone shifts begin to make fat storage more stubborn. And unlike more intense forms of exercise, low-impact cardio invites consistency. It doesn't leave you sore, exhausted, or mentally burned out. You don't dread it. You don't need elaborate preparation. You just go. That matters more than you think. Because the most effective workout is never the hardest. It's the one you do regularly. A gentle 30-minute walk every day will outperform a grueling workout done once a week out of guilt. That's why? Because biology rewards consistency over intensity. Now, from a psychological standpoint, low-impact cardio does something beautiful. It restores your relationship with movement. For so many people, especially those struggling with weight, movement has become a source of shame. It's wrapped up in feelings of failure, embarrassment, or fear of judgment. But when you walk, swim, or ride a bike in your neighborhood, away from the pressure of performance, you begin to unlearn those associations. You remember what it feels like to enjoy your body in motion without pain, without punishment. There's also a meditative quality to these forms of exercise. When you walk regularly, especially in nature, something happens in the mind. Your thoughts slow down. Your nervous system resets. You begin to feel your body again instead of just thinking about how much you want to change it. That shift is important because sustainable weight loss isn't just about biology. It's about how you relate to yourself. And low-impact cardio can become a daily practice of self-connection. It's also worth mentioning the hormonal advantages. Long walks and other low-intensity activities help regulate cortisol, the stress hormone that, when elevated for too long, promotes belly fat retention and muscle breakdown. So if you're constantly chasing high-intensity workouts without balancing them with lower-impact recovery movements, your body may be in a chronic stress state. That's not just exhausting, it's counterproductive. You might be working harder and still not seeing results. But when you add in low-impact cardio, you help the body shift from stress mode into fat-burning mode. Let's bring this down to the everyday level. If you walk for 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, you're not just burning calories, you're transforming your metabolic identity. You're signaling to your body again and again, we move, we are alive, we are building momentum. Over time, that creates profound changes, not just in your waistline, but in your mindset. And those changes reinforce each other. You move more, you feel better, so you eat better, you sleep better, and suddenly the weight that once felt immovable begins to shift. Not because you punished it away, but because you invited your body to return to balance. It's a simple practice, but one with profound results. You're not just walking through your neighborhood, you're walking yourself back to health, to stability, to confidence. That's why this kind of cardio matters. Not because it's flashy, but because it's foundational. So don't underestimate the quiet work. Don't overlook the walk, the swim, the steady pedaling. Those are the spaces where transformation lives, not in the sweat of effort alone, but in the grace of motion done with care and consistency. The body doesn't need more punishment, it needs more participation. So step into motion, walk your way to change, and let each step remind you momentum begins with mercy. It's a moment in every weight loss journey where people hit a wall. Progress slows, motivation dips, and despite doing all the right things, results begin to plateau. It's frustrating, it's disheartening, and it's often the point where people give up. Here's the truth most aren't told. The body doesn't just need effort, it needs stimulation. It needs variety. It needs intensity. And this is exactly where high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, becomes a game changer. Not just for your body, but for your entire approach to movement. HIIT is built on a simple but powerful concept: alternate brief periods of intense exertion with short recovery phases. Think 30 seconds of fast sprinting or cycling, followed by 30-60 seconds of rest or low-intensity movement, repeated in short bursts. That's it. But don't be fooled by the simplicity. What's happening underneath is a complete reprogramming of your metabolism, hormones, and fat-burning potential. Let's start with what high T does metabolically. When you push your body to its limits, even for a short time, it triggers something called excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, or EPOC. You may know it as the afterburn effect. It means your body continues to burn calories long after your workout ends. Hours later, sometimes even the next day, your metabolism remains elevated. This is different from low-intensity cardio, where calorie burn tends to stop as soon as you do. With HIIT, you create a ripple effect of energy use. You light a fire that keeps burning even while you rest. But beyond the physiological, there's something else HIIT gives you, and that's time. One of the most common objections to exercise is, I just don't have enough time. HIIT eliminates that excuse. You can complete a highly effective workout in under 20 minutes. In fact, research shows that even 4 minutes of properly structured intervals can rival or outperform 30-45 minutes of steady-state cardio when it comes to fat loss and insulin sensitivity. In a world where time is scarce and attention is fragmented, HIIT delivers unmatched return on investment. Now I want to take you deeper into the psychology of intensity. When you engage in HIIT, you're not just working muscles. You're testing your limits. You're confronting discomfort directly. And this experience teaches you something powerful, that your limits are often psychological before they are physical. Most people stop not because their body fails, but because their mind decides it's too hard. HIIT is a practice in pushing back against that inner threshold, in discovering that the voice saying, I can't, is often lying. That's a profound moment, not just for weight loss, but for self-mastery. Each time you finish a HIIT workout, you walk away with more than just a calorie burn. You walk away with evidence of your capacity. You walk away knowing that discomfort didn't break you, it forced you. And when that becomes part of your identity, everything changes. You stop shrinking from challenge, you start seeking it. That's how transformation takes root. HIIT also works brilliantly with your body's natural hormonal rhythm. It boosts growth hormone and adrenaline, both of which are critical in mobilizing fat stores and building lean muscle. At the same time, it helps regulate insulin sensitivity, which is key for fat loss and long-term metabolic health. If you've struggled with stubborn belly fat, irregular energy levels, or prediabetes, HIIT might be the most direct intervention you can make without medication. But let's not confuse intensity with recklessness. The power of HIIT lies in precision, not chaos. It's not about collapsing in a puddle of sweat. It's about brief, controlled spikes in effort followed by intentional recovery. It's about listening to your body while challenging it. If you're just starting out, your high intensity might be a brisk walk up a hill. That's fine. HIIT scales to meet you where you are. What matters is that you give your full effort during those bursts, your full presence. That's where the magic is. And over time, what you'll notice isn't just physical endurance, it's emotional endurance. Your tolerance for stress increases, your recovery time improves, not just in workouts, but in life. That's the hidden beauty of HIIT. It trains your nervous system to bounce back faster from effort, from challenge, from chaos. You don't just become fitter, you become resilient. So if you've been stuck, if the scale isn't moving, if the mirror isn't changing, it might not be your effort, it might be your intensity. The body needs surprise, it needs challenge. Not every day, not for hours, but consistently enough to keep evolving. And HIIT delivers that in ways no other modality can. Push hard, rest well, repeat. That rhythm doesn't just build a better body, it awakens a stronger, more capable version of you. And that version is closer than you think, just a few powerful minutes away. There's something we rarely talk about in weight loss conversations, yet it might be one of the most important factors in the entire journey: recovery. In a world that glorifies hustle, sweat, and pushing harder, rest is often misunderstood as weakness. But in truth, recovery, especially through quality sleep, is not just part of the process, it is the process. It's the silent, invisible engine where the real transformation takes place. And if you ignore it, your body will eventually stop listening to all your effort. Let's step back and think about this. When does your body actually burn fat, repair muscle, rebalance hormones, and clear inflammation? Not during your workouts, not during your salads, during sleep, during rest. That's when your body shifts into an anabolic mode, the state in which it rebuilds and regenerates. So if you're doing everything right during the day, eating well, exercising, even doing HIIT, but your sleep is broken, short, or inconsistent, your body remains in a state of stress. And stress is a fat retention machine. Here's the physiology. When you don't get enough high-quality sleep, levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, rise. And elevated cortisol doesn't just make you feel tired and anxious, it actively signals your body to store fat, especially around the midsection. It also interferes with insulin sensitivity, making it harder for your cells to use glucose efficiently. Over time, this leads to blood sugar spikes, cravings, and weight gain, even if your diet hasn't changed. This is why sleep isn't just restful, it's metabolic. It controls the very systems that decide whether your body burns or stores fat. But the damage doesn't stop there. Lack of sleep disrupts two other key hormones, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin tells your brain you're hungry. Leptin tells your brain you're full. When you sleep deprived, ghrelin levels rise and leptin levels fall. In simple terms, you feel hungrier, you don't feel satisfied, and you're more likely to reach for high-calorie, high-sugar foods, not because of willpower, but because of biology. Your body is trying to compensate for low energy by demanding quick fuel. And this is where many people sabotage themselves. Not from a lack of discipline, but from a lack of sleep. And let's look at the deeper psychological truth here. Rest isn't just physical, it's symbolic. It's a declaration of worth. When you prioritize sleep, you're telling your body, you matter enough to repair. You deserve restoration. That might sound philosophical, but it has real consequences. People who consistently deprioritize rest often struggle with more than just weight. They struggle with boundaries, with burnout, with a feeling that they always have to do more to be enough. But true transformation requires the opposite mindset. Knowing when to stop, knowing when to restore, and understanding that rest is not laziness, it's intelligence. Recovery is also where integration happens. When you work out, you're not building strength in that moment, you're actually breaking the muscle down. The growth comes later during recovery. If you interrupt that process by skipping sleep, pushing too hard, or living in constant go mode, you don't get the benefit of the work you've done. It's like planting seeds but never watering them. Rest is the water. It's the sunlight. Without it, progress withers. This is why high performers, whether they're athletes, CEOs, or artists, take recovery seriously. They know that peak output requires strategic input. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't out-exercise a nervous system that's chronically exhausted. Recovery resets not just the body, but the mindset. It gives you clarity, it sharpens your decision-making, and it restores the emotional bandwidth you need to make healthy choices, to resist temptation, and to stay consistent in your habits. And let's not forget the most beautiful part of sleep, it's automatic. You don't have to control it, count it, or fight it. You simply have to allow it. Create space for it. Protect it like the sacred ritual it is. Dim the lights, shut off the screens, give yourself a bedtime, just like you would a child. Your body will do the rest, literally. When you honor sleep, everything else becomes easier. The workouts feel more doable. The cravings become less intense. Your mood stabilizes, your focus sharpens, and your weight loss becomes a reflection of balance, not of burnout. That's what effective, lasting transformation looks like, not just working hard, but working smart. So tonight, instead of doing more, do less, with intention. Give your body the one thing it truly needs to heal: deep, restorative rest. Because the weight you're trying to lose isn't just physical, it's everything your body carries when it's too tired to let go. At some point in every health journey, we all come face to face with the truth that matters more than any workout plan, diet trend, or piece of fitness equipment. Your mindset determines your outcome. You can have the perfect routine mapped out, all the science in your favor, but if the way you think about yourself, your body, your goals, your worth, is rooted in self-criticism or desperation, nothing sticks. It's not your willpower that's broken, it's the story you've been telling yourself. When we talk about effective weight loss, most people look outward. They ask, what should I do? But rarely do they pause and ask, who do I believe I am while doing it? And that question, more than any meal plan or exercise protocol, shapes your results. Because if deep down you believe you're someone who always quits, or someone who's too old, too heavy, too far gone, your body hears that and it responds. Not just chemically, but behaviorally. You'll find subtle ways to sabotage your progress. You'll start and stop. You'll pick battles you know you'll lose. Why? Because your identity will always fight to prove itself right. That's why the final and perhaps most important layer of effective weight loss is not physical. It's philosophical. It's about creating a mindset rooted not in urgency, but in sustainability. Not in punishment, but in purpose. It's about shifting from temporary motivation to long-term alignment. Let me explain what I mean by that. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. You watch a powerful video, hear an inspiring story, and suddenly you're ready to overhaul your life. But a few days later, you're tired, stressed, distracted, and the motivation vanishes. This is where most people fall off. They think they failed because they weren't disciplined enough. But what they're really missing is a deeper why, a guiding principle that keeps them steady when motivation disappears. That principle is called alignment. When your actions align with your values, your identity, and your vision of who you want to become, consistency stops being a struggle. It becomes a natural expression of who you are. You no longer ask, do I feel like working out today? Instead, you ask, what does the strongest version of me do next? That subtle shift in language is everything. It moves you from reacting emotionally to choosing intent. And that's where habits come in. Because at the end of the day, it's not the big leaps that create lasting weight loss, it's the small, repeated choices. Habits are your personal ecosystem. They either keep you stuck or they pull you forward. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to build a new pattern brick by brick. 10 minutes of walking, a glass of water first thing in the morning, one extra serving of vegetables at dinner. These things seem small, too small to matter maybe, but they compound, and over time they do more than change your waistline. They change your relationship with effort. They teach your brain that action is always available to you, that you are no longer someone who talks about change. You are changing. But none of this happens without a decision to see yourself differently. That's the secret. The real transformation begins when you stop chasing a goal out of fear and start becoming a person out of belief. When exercise is no longer about fixing yourself, but about expressing your strength. When eating well is not a punishment, but a way of honoring your energy. When rest isn't earned, it's respected. Because let's be honest, for many people, weight loss has become a cycle of shame. Try, fail, blame, repeat. And breaking that cycle requires something radical. Compassion paired with accountability. You must believe that you are worthy of the effort and that you are capable of following through. Not someday, now, in this body, at this age, with whatever time and energy you have today. And you don't have to do it perfectly. That's not the goal. The goal is to stay in motion, to return to alignment whenever you drift, to see every choice as a chance to reinforce who you are becoming, not punish yourself for who you've been. Because the truth is, weight loss isn't about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the version of yourself who already knows how to care, how to commit, how to rise. That version of you has always been there, beneath the noise, the shame, the doubt. You don't need to create her. You are not waiting to be transformed. You are waking up to who you already are. So build the habits, shift the mindset, and take the next step, because the future you're chasing is already inside of you, asking to be lived. We three